Okay, hey guys, so before I continue, I just wanted to give you a small little kind of intro to layers. So layers are what you apply all your textures to and stuff, and that's what we're going to do in TerraSculptor in a second. But when you have, like, say a layer, I'm just going to make a random name as a layer, and I paint it on, so you can do paint. Actually, no, you can take the layer and you can paint it. So it'll be like painting along. If you go to debug view and you select it, yeah, you see you'll have something of your layer painted. And what that layer does is eventually you can make a material, and the material will affect the specific layer, and you will have the material in this little blue area. So that's what we're just about to do. So I'm just going to close out of this thing. Minimize. Okay. So what we have here is you go into the weight map. You have this thing. The weight map generator creates something that you can use as a layer, and you can do this a few different ways. You can go altitude, direction, which is whichever way it's facing, which is kind of cool. Altitude is fairly obvious. You just have a specific altitude that you take it from, or you can get flow line, which I've never really understood what flow line does. It's kind of cool, but it's kind of weird at the same time. There's all these options, but I don't know. It's kind of awkward. Slope, which is cool. It's like whatever angle the terrain is at. So if you look on these higher elevations, it's going to be higher in angle, where these flat, it's going to be flat, so it has a 0 angle. So if it's straight up, then it'd be a 90-degree angle. This is what I normally use. Composite is you can use a mix of all of them to make a kind of unique map. So if you wanted to make something which had a specific bottom altitude and then everything that was just flat or something like that, you can use composite to make it. So you can choose your altitudes or whatever, and you can choose to do all this stuff to make a very unique little mask or layer. For this tutorial, I'm just going to use slope, and since it goes up to 90, you can do like 30, 30, 30 for each layer. But if for my map, it's pretty flat. Like there's a lot that's flat in it. So if you see there's this white, which is what it'll be affected, there's a lot of white in there, and you'll get just so much of the map with one layer that it just doesn't look that realistic. So on these really flat maps, I tend to go really low for the first one, like 10 or something. Because then it's only the really flat parts. And yes, you take that. You have your minimum, your maximum. Fall off is how much of a like fades out, so you can actually go all this way up, and it can kind of look cool. But anyways, you don't want too much. You just want a little bit, 3 or something. Actually, on this I'm going to make it like 2, because it just makes so much of stretch because it's so low to the ground. Then what you want to do is we'll go down and get raw 8-bit binary. That's what you have to save it as. You can click here, figure out where you want to save it to. Save in documents, landscape. I'll just do mountains, I guess. I don't really care. Yeah, okay. So it just creates a folder where you can save it as. Once you click save, it'll actually give you the area that you want to save it as. So I'm just gonna go to new folder though. Tutorial, I'll call it. Of course, you guys can just save it and call the place wherever you want. So for this, it's gonna be my flat, because I call them flats because it's the flat area. But just name it whatever you want, and whatever you can respell later on, because you'll have to say it a few times and write it in, and you'll have to know what it is. So it's good to have something that you'll memorize. So I just use flats for this thing. Then you save, then you get your next one. The idea is to get all of your map eventually having a weight map on it. So Next one is kind of like your transition layer, so the one that goes in between this and the very cliffy things, like this cliffy thing. It's kind of like the in between. So I actually make this pretty small. You just want a little bit. I like it that way. Just so you get like that little transition-y area. Yeah, that looks good. I just want to check what will my. That's quite a lot of cliff. Huh. Make it a little bit more. I'll make it. 15 should be good. 15 looks good. Okay. So set it to whatever. This, if you're making it the same as a transition zone, you don't want too much. Like that's quite a bit, but you know, what can you do? You want still a ring around kind of everything. So it'll make that little small little zone where it kind of could transition from like a grass to like a dirt to a cliff, right? And this will be your dirty area, so that it'll make it a logical transition. That's what I like to use. I just 10, 15, and 2 for fall off. Actually, just get 1 for fall off because it's pretty small. And yeah, I'll save it again. Don't click OK, because if you click OK, it'll just cancel and you'll get nothing from it, and it sucks. So go into my folder again, and I'm going to save this as edges, because it's the edge. And again, you can save it as whatever you want. Next one you will just go and do the rest. You can make a ton of layers if you really want to. I don't think there's really a limit, but if you have a lot, it's going to weigh down your system, and you can only have a certain amount of textures in the material editor when you get to UDK. So, you know, 3 or 4 is normally what you want to have. I'm just going to do 3 because that's really what you need for this. So, third, all these cliffs. There's quite a lot of cliffs, actually. Well, so I will go there. That's good. So I'll save and back into tutorial, and I normally call this my cliff because it's cliffy. Yeah. So save that. So now you have all these layers, but you actually haven't sent in the map yet. You have no file for this map, and so if you can't really import it yet, so what you want to do is go click the export button. Scroll down here, and you will look for raw 16-bit. Click raw 16-bit. Binary height map, that's what UDK uses. And then in this thing, just name it whatever you want. So I'm just going to say tutorial map. And I spelled that wrong. Okay. There we go. I think that's properly spelled, but I don't know. I'm terrible at grammar. Vocabulary, whatever it's called. Anyway, so save that. And yeah, it doesn't really matter. I leave it as unsigned and Intel format. You want to leave it as Intel format. These, I don't know, just leave them as. Just remember, if you do signed or unsigned, which one you did. It doesn't really make a difference when you import it. You just need to know which one you did. And yeah, so once you get what you want, you click OK. And there we go. So it should be done. And you can go into here. I'm just going to quickly delete. I don't know. What? I don't want to play. Okay. Maybe play for some reason. Selecting this, deleting it because I don't want that map. Okay. So go into landscape. Scroll down until you see create new and height map import. So you scroll down, you find that, and you go to wherever you saved all your stuff, and you find your map, which is the R16 one. So it'll automatically import, and this is where you click if it's unsigned or signed. And if you made this on a Mac, which I don't know if you can even do, if you did, you can click the Mac, but most likely it would be PC. Then go into layers. So it is important which way you put in these layers, because the very bottom one will be the one that's applied last and will cover anything that's in between. So if you had something that covered the whole level, but then you put something that only covered part of the level after it, the part that comes after would actually dominate over the part that comes before. So it's important to know if you want to do this. Normally what I do is I just do flats, then cliff, because those don't actually interact with each other, and then I have edges over top, because it's pretty thin, so you kind of want it to be as much as you can possibly have it on. Hardness, I don't know, don't really do anything. No blend, you normally want to have blend, so it actually kind of mixes it a little bit, makes it more realistic. But once you have that, it should automatically fill in what that has. So once you have all that, you just go create landscape. And here we are, landscape. I'm just gonna go out of this. Now you'll probably notice, like, whoa, it's super high and everything's like, for some reason it's super like stretched out top to bottom, and that's because for some reason when you import this and you go into display, for some reason they make your draw scale, like for Z, just way too much. It's like double what it should be, so I just scale that down a little bit. So you get that. So that's it for this video. The next video I'm going to talk about actually putting materials onto it, and yeah, it'll be cool. Making materials so it actually looks kind of like a level instead of this blue-white material, which is ugly and no one likes. Yeah, so I will see you in the next video.